Hello, I'm Asya. Today we're going to be looking at an offering from the house of Dixit and Zak. It is an Indian-based perfume house. Last week I did a review on Brindaban, which is a fantastic offering from the same house. This time we're looking at Rising Mysore. By the name, you might assume correctly that is a Mysore sandalwood base fragrance, but there's a lot more going to this one. So presentation here, 100 ml. It comes in this beautiful thick glass here. You have a dark green olive color. And in the middle, you have a beautiful design there, name of the fragrance, and then the house, Dixit and Zak. And at the back, you have more information. And the box is beautiful, also has this dark green olive color around it and a beautiful design. And at the back, you have more information. And then the color scheme that they've used here is really representative of what the scent does. It is an aromatic fragrance. It has a beautiful set of sandalwood accords or pairing here. And it does really capture the green, dark olive aromatic, and then also the beautiful pattern design that they have here representing that golden sandalwood that I get in this fragrance. Now, the spray on this one works really well. This is really good. Now, this fragrance, before I even jump into talking about the scent profile of this one, it is worth noting that they did a fantastic job balancing and then maintaining that sandalwood profile throughout the wearing of the fragrance without submerging it with the other facets that I'm going to be touching on in this review here. Now, sandalwood on its own, though, when you use it in a composition, in a natural setting, for example, it tends to be in the background and add an effect, especially when you're using other notes that are front and center, are bold, and then have higher impact. So here they've managed to maintain that sandalwood at the top there from top to bottom all the way through. So it makes for a wonderful wearing experience here. Now, sandalwood, when you use in a composition and the other notes that have higher impact and are much stronger, what happens is that it stays in the background and adds an effect to the fragrance, a creamy, woody effect to the fragrance. Mostly you're going to experience that more in the dry down when most of the notes have vanished, but typically it will add a creamy, woody effect, lactonic sometimes. And then depending on the type of sandalwood that you're using, for example, if you're using Australian sandalwood, it's going to give you that beautiful sandalwood profile, but as it dries down, you're going to get more of a cedarwood like scent profile attached to it. So it depends on the type of sandalwood or the provenance of the sandalwood that you're using in your composition, but typically it's hard to make it stand out among other notes. And I think here they did a fantastic job maintaining that. I'm actually working on a sandalwood fragrance here, and I'm sampling a lot of natural sandalwood from different regions, and I've been testing a lot, and then it is really hard to kind of make it stand out without using a lot of sandalwood in it, and I think they did a fantastic job here. Now on to smell here, and I don't know if you can see the wonderful color here. Is just beautiful to look at. It has this golden liquid color there. Now on to smell. If you've tried this Mysore sandalwood soap, this is a 100-year celebration edition. Nikhil did put me onto this one. I don't regret buying a lot of it one bit because I love using this one. I did get it through Zakir's Etsy shop that is called Agawud Assam. If you've used this and you're familiar with this soap, you know about 70% of what Rising Mysore is doing. Of course, the fragrance is much more than that. There's a lot more facets attached to it. It's a lot more complex and enjoyable. Take that soapy sandalwood, creamy, woody accord, and yes, this fragrance is going to be soapy from beginning to end. Although there are other facets that are kind of balancing the soapiness, it's going to have the slight soapiness throughout the wearing of the fragrance. Now, at the top of this soapy sandalwood, creamy, woody sandalwood, what I get is the smoothest lime accord or note. It is nothing piercing, nothing sharp about this one. Smooth sailing. Now on top of that, they added a little bit of complexity by adding some aromatic notes. I think they're using holy basil here, which is sweet herbaceous, has slightly clove-like facets attached to it and a little bit of woodiness attached to it. So I get that herbal facet attached to this one, a little bit of sweet, natural sweetness from the aromatic holy basil here. And then I think there's a little bit of spices. I think maybe a little bit of nutmeg and a little bit of cinnamon bark here, but also some floral elements. I think like in Brindaban, they're using ruqueta here, but they're also using a little bit of jasmine. So you're going to get a little bit of a floral element to it. As it dries down, and then in addition to the aromatic, zesty lime, and then sprinkle spices and that soapy, beautiful sandalwood accord, because it's made of two different sandalwood from different regions, if I remember correctly. You're also gonna get something that is counterbalancing or balancing that soapiness that I talked about, and it's gonna be the patchouli here. Now, this one is not gonna be your typical earthy, thinky patchouli. Here, what it does, it imparts this slightly incensey, non-smoky, but a beautiful gray, ashy, slightly incensey feel to the composition, and it adds volume and dimension to the sandalwood accord here. So you're going to get something that is soapy, creamy, woody, slightly sweet, but also this gray, ashy incensey feel flowing through the fragrance, and I think it helps balance the soapiness. And on top of that, you have this beautiful aromatic, zesty feel, and then light florals attached to it. It is really a wonderful fragrance, and as it dries down, you get less and less of the aromatic facets there. Although it doesn't completely go away, you're gonna get like echoes of that aromatic, slightly lime feel to it, and it's gonna be mostly that sweet, creamy sandalwood with a little bit of soapiness still there, and then the incensey, gray, ashy like feel from the patchouli note. Now, what I noticed in this one though, a set of notes that are used in Rising Mysore are also used in Brindaban, but in different proportions, so they're not gonna be typically the same fragrance, and to the point where you can own both, but you're going to have an impression of deja vu with an overlapping type of scent profile facets between the two. And I think it's coming from, for example, in Rising Mysore, from the use or the combo from the aromatic notes, but also the ruqueta that I think they're using here, but also the sandalwood, although the sandalwood is much amped up in Rising Mysore than what I get in Brindaban. And in Brindaban is also like more on the darker side. When you compare it to Rising Mysore, is more of an aromatic, soapy fragrance, more of a gentleman-like, more brighter and happier than if you compare it to Brindaban, which is much darker in tone. In general, this one comes off easy to understand, but there are nuances that makes it really interesting during the wearing. To me, this one has almost like a semi-formal, semi-casual feel to it. Something that I can see being a signature scent. It has a semi-mature feel attached to it, so you have to keep that in mind. I think it's leaning more masculine, but if you love soapy sandalwoods, aromatic facets, a little bit of incensey feel attached to it, and a light floral and spices attached to it, I think definitely give this one a try. I'm saying signature scent, but bear in mind that this one is limited edition, and then for the 100 ml, I think I got it for around $220, so pricey, but I think is well worth what it's doing for me. I'm even thinking about getting a backup bottle, but I don't have the means right now, but keep that in mind. Now, the reason why I'm really excited about this one is because when I was vetting this one, I chose it and I contrasted it against some of my favorite fragrances, sandalwood-based fragrances in my collection, to see if this one has a place in my collection at all. Now, when I was comparing this one, I used Crabtree and Evelyn. This one is Mysore extract. They call it extract of Mysore sandalwood. This one, wonderful interpretation of real sandalwood in it. There are light florals in here, but they do a really good job at maintaining that Mysore profile here. It's just wonderful to wear, light, airy, easy to enjoy. And then of course I have to talk about Samsara floral sandalwood here, just amazing. Of course I have Sacred Wood by Killian, but when I was comparing it and trying to decide if Rising Mysore is standing on its own and it can have a place in my collection, I didn't even bother comparing against this one, because although Sacred Wood is a beautiful fragrance, don't get me wrong, but if you're looking for a true authentic or an accord that is close to the real thing, and then you use the natural oil, I think Sacred Wood might not be able to fit that for you. What I get out of this one, a lot of sandalore, which is a synthetic, nothing wrong with that, but also maybe some Brahmanol, Javanol, and then Sandela. Maybe the way what I'm smelling is mostly that with some lactones or lactonic facets attached to it. So I'll compare it against Mysore extract the Mysore sandalwood by Crabtree and Evelyn, and then Samsara, the floral, wonderful sandalwood there. And then this one definitely has a place in my collection. Now, to performance on this one is actually good on my skin. I get between 7 and 8 hours of longevity. And then for projection, I get a beautiful scent bubble for like 4 hours. Soft, aromatic, beautiful, creamy, woody, and a little bit of that gray, ashy, patchouli, incensey feel there. And then light florals as well. And it projects really well for the first 4 hours. And after that, it becomes more of a skin scent. So performance is good on me. Now, for seasons and situation where you can wear this one, like I said, this one is semi-formal, semi-casual, has more of a semi-mature feel attached to it, more masculine. So you can wear it pretty much in any scenario. And I would say for seasonality, you can wear it in any season because it's not something that is weak or too bold to be avoided in any of the colder or warmer seasons. That's my review on Rising Mysore. Please share with me what you think of the composition and how it stacks against some of your favorite sandalwood fragrances. Again, thank you for watching. Please comment, rate, and subscribe, and take care.